Hello students, I'm Sunanda Maini. Just now we did the chapter, the last lesson, and now today we will discuss the question answers. Now first question that can be asked from this chapter is, what was Franz expected to be prepared with for the school that day? So Franz was expected to be prepared with the rules on the topic participles. Next question can be, what did Franz notice that was unusual about the school that day? So when Franz reached school, he noticed many things which were normally not there. First thing was, there was no noise, there was no hustle and bustle. Second thing, the children were not reciting or singing anything in unison. Third, the back seats were occupied by the village elders. And fourth, the teacher was dressed up unusually in his special dress which he would wear on special occasions. Another question can be, what had been put up on the bulletin board? A bad news that French would not be taught anymore in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine because Prussia had taken over these districts, had been put up on the bulletin board. Another question, what changes did the order from Berlin cause in school that day? The changes that were caused in the school that day were that the teacher was dressed up unusually, the children were very careful in listening to their teacher, the village elders had gathered there to pay the respects to the teacher and to their country, which was no longer their own, and the teacher also wanted to teach them in one stroke. How did Franz's feelings about Monsieur Hamel and school change? Yes, so far he had never liked his teacher. He had found him to be very cranky. He had shirked going to the school because he was not prepared with his lesson. But suddenly, when he learnt that he would not be taught that language anymore, his feelings towards his school as well as his teacher changed. Because now he wanted to learn everything from the teacher. He wanted to learn his own language. He started loving his language. Books no longer seemed heavy to him, and the teacher no longer appeared cranky to him. Now, the people in this story suddenly realized how precious their language is to them. What shows you this? Why does this happen? Now, people suddenly realized that their language was very precious to them because they learned that they could not learn the language anymore. It would not be taught there anymore. What shows you this? It is shown by the fact that the teacher also wanted to teach them everything in his best possible way, and people also were paying full attention to what the teacher was saying. Franz thinks, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? What could this mean? It could mean that anybody can capture forcibly, physically. They can capture the bodies of people by force, but they cannot force them to love a certain thing which is not theirs. That means you cannot rule the heart by force. You can only rule someone physically. You can only control the bodies of people, but you cannot control the minds and thinking of people. Parisians had captured the towns. They could force them to learn German language, but they could not prevent them from loving their own mother tongue. This is what is meant. When people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had key to their prison. Now, can you think of examples in history where conquered people had their language taken away from them or had a language imposed on them? Now, these questions, they need to be answered in reference to the history of a certain country. But what we can do is we can explain this line. We can say, yes, since they would speak in the same language to one another, they can stay united, and unity is the key to strength, And as long as they stay united and strong, they can fight for their freedom. Now, is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? No, it is not possible. Do you know what linguistic chauvinism is? Linguistic refers to language, and chauvinism, the term chauvinism means taking pride too far and having no regard for the other. That is thinking yourself to be the superior most and the other thing or other person to be very inferior. That is chauvinism. And do you know what linguistic chauvinism means? Yes, we have to explain both the terms, linguistic as well as chauvinism. And is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? No. And that can be justified from the fact that yes, the Germans had taken over and they had forced the people to learn the language German and prevented them from learning their own mother tongue. But yes, that could not carry on very far because people were in love with their own language and they would not stop speaking to one another in French, and that would keep them united and they could fight for their freedom. These are the possible questions which can be asked from the chapter. Please read the chapter thoroughly and be prepared. Thank you.